All right, Mark, thanks very much. Got an early timeout here at Pittsburgh, number 9 in the country, with a 1-point lead over Syracuse. Dave Strader along with Len Elmore. Both teams struggling to make field goals. 1 for 8 Pittsburgh in the early going, 2 for 7 Syracuse.
Well, the defenses have been pretty tight, particularly Pittsburgh. They've done a nice job of maybe limiting the backcourt, particularly Jerry McNamara, Josh Pace, who plays a little small forward, and in the backcourt, limiting their opportunities. They've been the ones who've been trying to put the ball in the basket. On the other end, Pittsburgh getting some opportunities, but not being able to connect. But they've been hitting the boards. They've got a 10-3 rebound advantage, and that's been the story so far.
Now, you mentioned Jerry McNamara. He injured his left groin, and the loss against Seton Hall limited his effectiveness there. We're going to have to watch his performance here tonight to see if it does affect how he goes.
Well, we've had a chance to watch him off the dribble, and you see these moves. It's the quick moves. When you have a groin injury, it's the stop and go. You saw him kind of shrug a little bit with that pain. Here's another opportunity off that explosive move. That's when you feel it. He hit that shot, but it's when you come down with a groin injury that really hurts.
Over 30,000 fans, Lenny, here at the Carrier Dome, and there you see the numbers from Jerry McNamara in the loss that ended the 13-game winning streak for the Syracuse Orange Men. And of course, Pittsburgh coming off a loss at UConn that ended their season opening 18-game streak, and just like they did on their first possession, a Syracuse player going one way and the pass going the other.
Well, you take a look, obviously, field goal shooting. You know, not the way the coaches drew it up. Rebounds, out of those 10, Pittsburgh has 5 offensive rebounds. So they've had their opportunities, not really able to capitalize.
Page with a 3, knocks it down. Julius Page, who's a tremendous athlete, known for his leaping, in fact, named after Julius Erving, but showing that he can hit from the outside as well.
Well, right now, Pittsburgh able to impose their will on Syracuse. They want to walk the ball up, play in the 60s, use that half-court defense to grind it out.
Well, it better be all of half-court in the defense, because this guy can shoot it from just about the half-court line, Jerry McNamara.
Well, obviously, Pittsburgh tested him. They sagged it in. They don't want the higher percentage shot. McNamara just steps outside, takes his time, and buries it.
Missed all 4 of his threes in that loss at Seton Hall. Here was Krauser now to Brown, inside to Taft, who had the first 4 points for Pittsburgh, and that shot was affected, and Troutman unable to save it. So it will be Syracuse basketball.
But still against the 2-3 zone, Pittsburgh still able to get second opportunities, but as we mentioned, not able to convert. Talk about Jerry McNamara. Watch him off the dribble. As I said, that stop and go, that explosiveness is where your groin, if you're injured, is really going to be tested. And it seems as though McNamara has put the pain behind him.
Well, McNamara loves to shoot the 3, and in fact, 119 attempts on the season. The rest of the team has taken 64. I mean, it is a team sport. We know that, college basketball. But this Syracuse team looks so much different when he's not effective. And Seton Hall kind of provided a blueprint of how you can defeat Syracuse, especially when McNamara's not in the ballgame.
Well, if you're Syracuse, you always want to play to your strengths. And obviously, Jerry McNamara's outside ability is strong. But you got to develop a plan B. And Syracuse not prepared against Seton Hall, but today they're starting to play a little bit towards Jerry McNamara, giving him a chance to get his shots off while he's still warm and while that groin doesn't seem to be bothering him.
Spin on the inside by Warwick. Rebound underneath, and the youngster McCroskey, who has checked into the ball game. Will McCroskey wearing number 42 as we take a look at Jamie Dixon. First year as the head coach, and what a job he's done. Page, Krauser, Brown, Troutman, and Taft, the starting 5. And they'll see the majority of the minutes.
Talk about Jamie Dixon, perfect demeanor for a team in transition. You know, part of the program, never really changed the system, and always encouraging. We watched practice yesterday, never had a negative word to say to his team, just constantly encouraging them, and guys love to play for a coach like that.
Here is Pace, nearly lost it, gets to McCroskey, had his first shot blocked, just got that one off. It's an air ball with the shot clock violation.
Boy, that was a tough one for Pittsburgh. Lost a layup because of the violation.
Edelin, McNamara 4th, Warwick and Pace the starting lineup, although Jim Boeheim in his 28th year as the head coach here with Syracuse has gone to his bench. although briefly, as McCroskey, who came in for Edelin. Now McCroskey takes a seat, and Billy Edelin back in the ball game.
Jim Boeheim, the dean of Big East coaches. Put that cherry on the top last year with a national championship.
Here is Page, who's hit a couple of threes on the baseline now. McCarroll rims it in and out as he is checked into the ball game. Number 21, Mark McCarroll, a redshirt junior from Queens.
And you still have to marvel, again, Pittsburgh able to get their hands on the ball off the glass. Syracuse has to do a better job blocking out, which is difficult when you're in zone.
Now McNamara picked up by Page. McCarroll flashes out, quick delivery rather to Warwick into the lane, and a little scoop is no good. So Hakeem Warwick is having difficulty finding his offense. He's missed all 3 of his field goal attempts. Krauser coming off a tremendous performance in the loss at Connecticut. Trying to start this offense. Nice. Underneath. McCarroll a little strong with the bang.
I don't think McCarroll was ready for that no look from the big fella.
Torrey Morris coming into the ball game, a 6'10" senior from Oliver Springs, Tennessee. As the youngster Taft is going to sit down. Pittsburgh very impressive with their interior passing. You talk about making the 1 extra pass, Len. Sometimes they make 2 or 3 passes in the paint. McNamara, quick pull up. That was a bit strong. And Morris battling against Fort. And the possession arrow favors Pittsburgh. Well, tomorrow at 7 Eastern, 6th-ranked Louisville Cardinals travel to Tennessee to take on the Volunteers. NCAA basketball on ESPN. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. And what a job Rick Pitino's done with that number 6 Louisville team. Their emphatic win. Yeah.
Explosive win. Close game against Cincinnati, then at some point in the second half just blew it open. And Cincinnati is an excellent basketball team. But somehow Louisville kicked it up to another notch. 3-point shooting, rebounding, pressure.
Krauser with McNamara coming right out at him. Krauser able to knock down the 3. That is something that he provides that Brendan Knight could not, as great a player as Knight was. Here is Pace, strong to the basket. And you have to be strong to the basket against this Pittsburgh defense as they converge on him, and a foul being called here against McCarroll. That is his first. And that is the 4th team foul against the Panthers.
Unusual on the defensive end. Carl Krauser stepped out and actually gambled for a steal. And once he gambled for the steal, Pace able to go to the basket and force the foul. But, you know, Pittsburgh normally will set back on you. They'll play man-to-man. They won't gamble. They'll force you to come to them. Hence, they've been able to keep people under 40% from the field and do an excellent job at keeping the points down.
Pace able to hit 1 of the 2 free throws. Well, we know about Craig Forth on the basketball court. What is he doing in the classroom? Well, he's doing a little teaching, and we'll tell you about Professor Forth when we come back. Pittsburgh with an early 6-point lead over number 16 Syracuse. Craig Forth, like, do you bump your head when you go through the doorway? What size shoes do you wear? And an imposing figure for a 4th grade teacher.
Except I think the 4th grade is a little more direct than the media guys.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, he won't have any problem keeping the attention of the students there or keeping discipline either.
Now Craig has a younger brother, Jeremy, who has a form of autism that's really been a big factor in his interest in education. As the huge crowd here at the Carrier Dome gets the air ball chant going for Julius Page, who has made a couple of threes already tonight. Here is Forth now flashing out, top of the key. Pace on the inside, Warwick. Second leading scorer in the Big East, looking for his first points. Going to take a second and third effort. That one he threw up too hard. And now he tries to tie up Morris, but he's going to be called for the foul.
Well, take a look at the Pittsburgh defense. This one makes them tough. Hold it right there. The step out. You see him get the ball out of McNamara's hand. Now watch the step up by the guard to cover. You had the double team. There's a step up by Krauser. Stopped the ball. Everybody got back into the paint. That's what makes them tough. They will not give you easy shots.
McCarroll, tough turnaround. There goes Pittsburgh to the offensive glass again. And Jerron Brown. I'll tell you what, you watch this Jerron Brown. He's listed at 6'4". He's been the leading rebounder for the Panthers couple of seasons back, their second leading rebounder so far this year. That time, the defending national champions get it done at the deep to that sore left groin, and on the step out, the ball deflects off the foot of McNamara. A couple of players going down on the court, jump ball, and the possession arrow will favor Syracuse.
But how about the hustle by Jerome Brown? McNamara dribbled off his foot, kind of looked at the official, calling for some contact. And while they waited and watched the ball roll away, Brown comes out of nowhere diving on that ball, trying to get possession. Again, that's what characterizes this team. Blue-collar team. Love to get down and dirty with you.
Len, been over 4 minutes since we've had a Syracuse field goal. McNamara fumbles the ball again. Edelin, some contact, but he gets control with 10 seconds on the shot clock. Here is Pace with it. Forced to launch that awkward-looking shot of his, and it's out of bounds. Last touch by the Panthers. We're at the Carrier Dome in chilly and snowy Syracuse. Is it any other way in January? 30,000 plus fans here tonight for this matchup of two top 20 teams in the Big East. Krauser had it knocked away, and then there's contact between Krauser and Ford. And it's going to be Pittsburgh basketball.
Oh, nice play again. The hustle of Jerry McNamara to get back and foil the layup. But it's been a grinded out defensive struggle. There's the good hands right there, and there's the elbow. Krauser trying to protect himself. Not really looking to do any damage, but it's really been Pittsburgh's defense. There's a little defense by Syracuse.
Edelin behind the back. And there is Page with the block. Boy, between Brown and Page. Small forward, big guards, whatever you want to call them. They get the job done on the boards and in terms of blocking shots.
Well, they get back. That's the key. You hustle back on defense, try to make a play. A lot of guys will stand there and watch and essentially give up on the layup, as Edelin looked like he had a breakaway. And you look at the blocked shots there, Pittsburgh again able to get their hands on some balls, really making it difficult on Hakeem Warwick.
And it's not the big guys that are doing it. Here is Warwick. Nice look underneath. Edelin lays it in.
And that's the antidote. If Warwick is surrounded and drawing all the attention, there must be someone else open. He did a nice job that time of finding the open man.
Antonio Graves, a 6'3" freshman from Mansfield, Ohio, is in the ball game. Here's Graves with the ball, and 30,000 fans, just about all of them on their feet.
I was going to say, it's so are the fans in the ball game now.
But how about Chris Taft? You know, every experience is a learning experience at this level of Division I basketball. And they go into Connecticut, hostile environment at the Hartford Civic Center, perform well. Taft has never played in an environment like this in this kind of a building, and he's already got 6 points.
Well, Chris Taft is a tremendous freshman. You know, a lot of people spoke of a lot of freshmen coming into the Big East. He didn't get much of that accolade, but Big East Player of the Week 3 times. I mean, Rookie of the Week 3 times thus far.
And the youngster, Demetrius Nichols, speaking of freshmen, off the bench for Jim Boeheim, had hit just 3 of his first 20 three-point opportunities on the season, and he comes in and nails a big one to get Syracuse back to within 3.
And that's what Syracuse needs. They need to keep Pittsburgh from packing that defense in, find a perimeter threat. McNamara obviously in pain, sitting on the bench, getting a bit of a rest. And when you can pluck a guy like Nichols off the bench and he comes in right away and makes a contribution, Jim Boeheim's got to feel good about his decision making. It's Jerry McNamara.
They got Nichols and McCroskey, 2 freshmen out there for Syracuse. And here's the freshman Graves for Pittsburgh. Half difficult pass, and the youngster couldn't hang on to it.
Actually, it was the right pass to make. It was Graves that couldn't handle it.
Jamie Dixon trying to encourage his club. Syracuse walks it up. Could tie it with a 3. They've never led in the ball game. Nichols with some confidence had it slapped away by Troutman.
Well, that's what you got to recognize. You don't want to try to do it all by yourself. You mentioned Nichols with confidence, but you can get overconfident against this Pittsburgh defense. They'll lull you to sleep and then pounce on you.
Now Brown. Taft Craze. He catches this time. Nice rotation on the shot, but it was off the mark. Tap with a rebound and a putback.
You gotta like the young fella. With the bounce and the step in the paint, and gotten his hands on a number of offensive rebounds, corrals a few more. That's a dimension that Pittsburgh didn't have last year with that terrific team. A big man with that type of athleticism.
Tap now with 8 points, just 2 under his season average. He has just gotten into the starting rotation the last couple of weeks. Warwick, couple of ball fakes, puts it up and in.
That time over Tap.
One of the things that Pittsburgh worked on in the shoot-around last night here, Len, was in particular Warwick on the inside. If he can't go straight up initially, he will make that spin move, and Pittsburgh seemed to have it defended well, but then Warwick just jumped right over the top. Jerron Brown with a floater, and that'll quiet the crowd again for a moment.
Well, Warwick's last basket has to bode well for Syracuse because he has been pretty much bottled up. He gets the one-on-one opportunities. He's got to take them every time because he's not going to get many.
Fourth, he's determined, and that would have counted. And the big guy's going to go to the free throw line. Monday night, 7 Eastern, in-state rivals collide. Number 14, Texas, taking on number 18, Texas Tech at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. That'll be followed by BYU taking on New Mexico. That'll come your way at midnight Eastern. Big Monday presented by Bud Light on ESPN.
Well, you talk about a turnaround. Texas Tech now leading the Big 12. And this is a team that I saw back in November that was really struggling to find scoring out of anybody except Andre Emmett. They were also trying to get their defense together, and you got to give Bob Knight a lot of credit. He's taken a young team and kind of blended them and molded them to the point where they believe in themselves.
Well, they won a big ball game by 2 points on the road. We just found out it went final. Texas Tech winning at Texas A&M. Texas losing earlier today at home against Oklahoma State. It is tough when you get into conference, and we are seeing an example of that here tonight. The home defending champion Syracuse Orangemen down for a freshman, but I guess not if you're Chris Tapp.
Well, Chris Tapp, he likes the company. Very much unheralded freshman coming into Big East play, but this young man is starting to make his name well known. Started the last 7 games, averaging about 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 blocks. And tonight, really making his presence felt on both ends of the floor. And we talk about the most heralded freshman coming into the Big East, Charlie Villanueva. Chris Tapp measures up very nicely.
Yes, he does. Chris Tapp, a 6'10", 230-pound freshman out of Brooklyn, New York. And he's getting a little bit of a rest right now. As you see his numbers. Four-point Pittsburgh lead. Krauser coming off that great performance against Connecticut. There's that floater that is no good. Another offensive rebound. McCarroll couldn't put it in. And it's out of bounds. Last touch. No, correction. There's a foul on the play. McCarroll was called for a foul. His second. And there's Jamie Dixon in his first season as the head coach here, taking over for Ben Howland. He was an assistant to Ben. And we wondered, Len, how would they respond to that close loss? A lot of people called it a statement loss. He said, no, I fully expected our team to compete at Connecticut.
Well, they absolutely did. And coming out in this game, you know, you wonder if there was any trepidation. Absolutely none whatsoever. Nice move by Hakeem Warwick. Again, getting himself open along the baseline in a one-on-one situation. But they're approaching this game just like they seem to approach every other game, just as Jerron Brown has said in the media. But, you know, this is a program 75-12 over the last 3 years.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's any other Division I team that has won as many games as Pittsburgh. So if this program isn't getting respect, I don't know why not. They deserve it.
Absolutely do, but you don't hear that name roll off the tongue when people start talking about the Kentuckys, North Carolinas, the Dukes. Well, the 30,000 referees had an opinion on that play, and so does Boeheim.
Well, the call that was made was on the arm. There's a little reach in right there. And from behind, it looked like Warwick got all ball. Jim said, what?
Yeah. Well, Darrell Watkins was called for the foul, and he was the Syracuse player that you couldn't really see behind the Pittsburgh player there in the replay. And he's the one that reached over and touched the arm.
That's good eyes by the official because you get mesmerized sometimes by the ball. And Warwick got away with a reach in earlier, but it was all ball on the block, at least on his part.
Watkins, a 6'11" freshman out of Paterson, New Jersey. So Jim Boeheim, who lost not only Carmelo Anthony, of course, the lottery pick, now playing with the Denver Nuggets, but he lost Quick Duaney. And that's a lot of length to lose out of that 2-3 zone.
Well, the 2 missed free throws by Pittsburgh right there is going to be part of the Syracuse strategy. If I'm them, I don't give up any easy layups. I make Pittsburgh earn it from the free throw line.
Nichols could not hit the long 3, and there you see Jerry McNamara, who spent a little bit of time on the bench.
Hopefully stretching that groin out. Even though he hit his first shot, still running around a little gingerly.
Just over 5 minutes remaining here in the half. Pittsburgh with a 2-point lead. Here was Krauser.
And you see now from the wing where Pittsburgh had some success hitting threes, Syracuse starting to extend that zone.
Krauser, long 3, no good. Torrey Morris with an offensive rebound, kicks it back out. Page open for the 3s, hit a couple. That one was strong. And the rebound taken by the Orangemen. Here comes McNamara in transition. He throws up a floater that's off the back iron. And Warwick, I believe, is going to be called for going over the back. More college basketball coming your way tomorrow, 7 Eastern, as it'll be the number 6 Louisville Cardinals taking on the Tennessee Volunteers. SEC action. Louisville's won 14 straight after losing against Iowa in overtime.
Pittsburgh's got to be very careful right now. Even though the zone is extended, it's still inviting a 3-point shot. No real post-up game to speak of except for Siobhan Troutman.
Nearly turned over by the Panthers, but they recover with 15 on the shot clock.
They've got to look to try to attack the gaps of that zone. Ball movement, then attack the gaps.
Good double team by the 2 freshmen, Watkins and Nichols, but somehow the Panthers get it out of there, and Watkins recovers with a great shot block.
That was an emphatic get it out of there.
Yeah.
Take a look at the double team right there. This is not a passive zone. They'll come after you, and wham! The only thing better that Watkins could have done was kept it in bounds and started a fast break. When you got a ball that you can slam that hard, you've got control of it. Hit it in the other direction.
Late on the shot clock, and a forced 3-pointer misses everything. Amy Dixon having a conversation with official Ray Perrone as he went by. Ray Perrone, John Flaherty, Ed Corbett. The veteran crew working this Big East contest here. McNamara with a 3. Syracuse with their first lead of the ball game.
And you know, Jamie Dixon wants to talk about it, particularly on the offensive end. His team has fallen in love with the 3-point shot, and they're being jilted by that 3. On the defensive end, Pittsburgh still willing to pack themselves in deep, and McNamara steps up for that 3.
You know, this is interesting, Len, about McNamara. We're talking about his toughness in high school as a sophomore. State championship game, separates his shoulder, doesn't say anything to anybody, plays the entire second half, scored 19. They lost the game, but his high school coach, John Bucci, said he is definitely the toughest kid I ever coached.
And you know what? You got to give the kudos to Jerry McNamara for that toughness, but for kids watching at home, that's not the way to go. You get hurt, you tell somebody. Don't be a hero.
Syracuse with the lead for the first time in the ball game, and they've done it getting some significant minutes from their freshmen. Jerron Brown, floater is good.
Well, you talk about bailing his team out whenever they need him. Jerron Brown, the senior, demonstrating some leadership right there.
We see a lot more players, Len, using that shot. That floater going toward the basket as McNamara's 3 was off the mark and goes over the backboard. 3:22 remaining here in the first half. Jim Boeheim club got the lead for a moment. They trail now by 1.
Well, you have to attack the gap instead of rely on the 3-point shot. Watch Sherry Troutman go down clear. The ball comes to Page. He hits Brown, and then Brown attacks the gap that's left. Troutman clears. There's the gap right there. And Brown attacks that. Here's another look. The pass is made. Troutman goes through and creates room. McNamara has to guard the ball, and there's a gap right there between McNamara and Edelin, and Brown exploits it. You know, that's another way to force the zone to contract, and that'll make it easier to hit those threes later on. But you can't just sit there and try to fire up threes against this 2-3 zone.
Jerron Brown, who graduated with a degree in social sciences last May, is a redshirt senior. Originally committed to go to Kentucky, but when Rick Pitino went to the NBA, Jerron Brown changed his mind and had a wonderful career with Pittsburgh. Here is Page on the baseline, met by Watkins. Now it's knocked away and picked up by McNamara. Tries to find Edelin in traffic. Edelin somehow came up with it, but then he turns it back over. Krauser challenged by McNamara. Krauser loves the big stage, and the bigger the stage, he says, the more he likes to perform.
There's the use of the high post right there just to get some ball movement, create that triangle, make the defense shift. Look at this pass.
Oh, what
Look
a block by Watkins. Wow, the second block for the freshman off the bench, Darryl Watkins.
You're seeing some man-to-man inside the paint right now. Terrific block by Watkins after an equally terrific interior pass. Thought Taft was going to be able to rip it.
Good help defense by Krauser. Knocked it away from Warwick. Krauser pulls up in transition for the three. That was short, rebounded by the Panthers, but Jerron Brown had it knocked away. It's recovered now by Edelin. Edelin into the paint, hands it off for Watkins. Went up and just reversed it too hard off the glass. Here's Jerron Brown. Nichols gets back on him and commits the foul, and the basket is good.
And that's a senior for you right there. He knew who he had on him, took his time, didn't rush, jump stopped and got the freshman to commit himself. That's just an excellent heady play. Now watch Brown. He sees him, gets him down low, pump fakes, gets him to commit, uses that upper body strength, and takes the freshman to school. Once again, gets Nichols off his feet. And that's what a freshman, when faced with a senior, is going to have. Got to be smart about it.
Watkins and Nichols both get a big ovation from the crowd here as they went to the bench. And I was talking about Jim Boeheim's zone having a different look when you take a Carmelo Anthony and a Quet Dwaney out of there. And yet when you can come in now with Watkins at 6'11", Demetrius Nichols at 6'8", McCroskey is 6'5". If you can get some significant minutes out of those guys, you know what, that zone's going to look a lot more like it did last year.
Well, it's a learning process. These guys played a few minutes in the loss against Seton Hall a couple of days ago, and now Jim Boeheim is starting to build up those minutes. He's really kind of fallen out of favor with Jeremy McNeil. So now he's looking for some help off the bench from the freshman.
And McNamara with a quick crossover got open for the three. Couldn't hit it. Here is Krauser. Spin move off the glass and in. Wow.
That's New York City right there.
Oh, yeah. Looked a little bit like Girl to Pearl Monroe from back in your day, Len.
Well, Krauser used to have on his white shoes last year. Only the strong survive. New York City.
What a move by Krauser, and the finish. Monday night, 7 Eastern, in-state rivals collide. Texas Tech coming off a conference win on the road will play host to Texas. They lost a conference game earlier today. And then at midnight Eastern, the BYU Cougars will take on the New Mexico Lobos. Big Monday presented by Bud Light on ESPN.
You look at those standings right there. Watch out for Oklahoma State. Starting to make a move. You know, they get into conference play. They're demonstrating, again, a terrific defensive team. And with the addition of an excellent point guard, John Lucas, the son of my ex-teammate, John Lucas, you know, they've been able to really get some things done, particularly on the offensive end, more up-tempo than the old Oklahoma State team.
Boy, the Pittsburgh bench thought that Hakeem Warwick had picked up his third personal foul, but it's going to go against the Panthers.
There's the reach right there. Again, Pittsburgh uncharacteristically gambling a little bit. Boy, I don't know with that shoulder. Ooh. You know, the line of verticality, Warwick broke it that time.
Warwick knocks down the free throw, a 68% free throw shooter. Hakeem comes in as the #2 scorer, #6 rebounder on the Big East. Only Bryant Matthews of Virginia Tech with a higher scoring average than Warwick. And he knocked down both free throws.
You know, talk about the line of verticality. There's a line that goes up between the defender and the offensive player. It goes from the floor all the way up to the ceiling, and the defender's entitled to that space. If the offensive player breaks that space and makes contact, that should be an offensive foul.
Krauser at the top of the 2-3 zone to Brown, now to McCarroll. 10 on the shot clock. Troutman.
That time fumbled by McCarroll, but I'm just knocked out by the great interior passing of Pittsburgh. Guys just have to hold on to it.
McNamara pulled up for the 10-footer that just rolled out. Pace took a shot in the mouth when he made the defensive play at the other end, and he's checking his lip right now to see if there's any blood.
Talked about the interior defense and offense being played. This is some hand-to-hand combat right here. Guys are playing very physical down right underneath the basket.
Krauser crossover dribble. Deron Brown. Krauser again. That's a long three, and it's off the side rim and picked up by Troutman. He lays it in.
And you don't mind taking it when you know you got a vacuum cleaner under there by the name of Siobhan Troutman.
11-second chance points as McNamara has to force one up. As the first half buzzer goes off. Pittsburgh a huge advantage of +11 on the glass. And they've been able to pick up 11 second chance points as well. Pittsburgh with a 29-23 lead at the half now. And a great look at the Carrier Dome, of course, a football stadium, but they converted for basketball, and over 30,000 here. And so far, not too happy about what they see, trailing by 6 against number 9 Pittsburgh at the half. Dave Schrader back along with Len Elmore. When you take a look at that first half, and you look at the things that have to do with second effort, with being physical, I mean, Pittsburgh dominated those areas.
Well, they're imposing their will. I mean, this is the type of team, you look at the score, this game is going towards being played in the 60s, which is what they want. And the ways that they've been able to impose their will is against the zone. Every coach will tell you it's a great place to offensive rebound, and that's exactly what Pittsburgh is able to do. 13 offensive rebounds, and Chris Taft has led the way, playing a big role, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 block in 13 minutes. The freshman has definitely come to play today.
Take a look at our stats from the first half, and again, there are the rebounds. 13 offensive rebounds and 11 second chance points.
That's the game right there. The second chance points against this 2-3 zone. You know, Pittsburgh fell in love with the three-point shot. You see 3 of 12, and they understood that you can't continue to do that. You've got to be able to attack inside, and they've been able to do that as well. Also, 6 Syracuse turnovers have led to 7 Pittsburgh points, so they've been able to capitalize on Syracuse's mistakes.
Krauser kicks it back out. Page thought about the 3. Deron Brown. Krauser from beyond the arc decides to drive. Floater blocked by Forth and could not keep it in bounds.
That's a good job by Craig Forth coming over to the weak side to help out. Krauser again with the pump fake. Thought he had a little daylight, and a big Craig Forth eclipse.
Traveling violation against Deron Brown. Turnover number 8 committed by Pittsburgh. Syracuse has turned it over only 5 times. And one of the things we were talking about with this Pittsburgh defense earlier today, they're not a team that gets a lot of steals. They're not a gambling type defense. They just are in position to get in your face.
Exactly. They don't pressure you either. When you gamble, it's a high risk, high reward strategy. You know, they play the averages, they play the angles, they force you to take bad shots, and they hope that they cover the boards and limit you to 1.
10 on the shot clock. Pace in trouble. Throws up the one-hand hook. No good. Here's Krauser.
That was a great example right there.
Taft running the floor, lays it in.
I told you, that's the dimension that last year, as good as the Panthers were, that they didn't have an explosive, athletic big man who not only gets it done in the paint, but can run the floor. And he's only a freshman.
Youngster out of Xaverian High School in Brooklyn is making a statement here. He has hit his season average with 10 points, 4 of 7 from the floor.
As we mentioned, he's just began starting the last 7 games.
And Forth is fouled as he goes to the basket.
You know, Taft is starting to really feel comfortable. There's the good defense, the missed shot. We talked about limiting Syracuse to 1. And then the big fella running the floor on the other end. And we talk about him being a freshman. He's only going to get better.
And when the big guy runs like that, the point guard better give him the ball, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you want your horses to run, you got to feed them.
Yeah, all right.
That's how they work.
Worth able to knock down the free throws to cut into what was Pittsburgh's largest lead in the ball game. These two teams play each other twice in the Big East schedule. They both play Notre Dame twice, and they both play Connecticut twice.
And you take a look at attempting to move the ball around the perimeter. John Brown trying to get people in place. They're looking to try to attack those gaps. They're moving around the perimeter, forces the defenders to extend.
5 on the shot clock. Brown kicks it out. Krauser launches the long 3. No good. Warwick and Ford battle for the rebound, and neither one got it. Troutman to Brown. Nice little pump fake, but then he put the shot up short. Another rebound for Taft. His turnaround is no good. There was Troutman. He lays it in. Wow.
In a word, relentless. That's what the Panthers are on the offensive glass. They don't give up position when the shot's taken. Troutman just stood his ground.
16 offensive rebounds. A large reason for that huge advantage in second chance points. McNamara had to adjust the shot, gave it off instead to Warwick. Had it stripped away by Krauser. Krauser in the open court nearly went over and back. Now the spin move. Contact there as he ran into McNamara, and an offensive foul against Krauser.
Well, we talked about Krauser bringing a little bit of New York City flavor to this basketball game, but he's got to be careful right now. Guys see him going to that spin act. They're going to just set up and wait for him to come and make contact. And that time, McNamara did a nice job of holding his ground under the paint.
Career high 24 points. Last Monday night for Krauser in the loss at Connecticut. And he said he was really looking forward to this one here. McNamara, no good. Ford tried to jam it home, could not. And the little runner by Edelin was no good. Second effort, no good. Now it's Syracuse getting to the offensive glass. And a traveling violation is called against Warwick.
Well, Dave, you mentioned it. Much better job of Syracuse. We talked about Pittsburgh wanting to limit them to 1 shot and out. And the aggressiveness by Forth and by Warwick. You just got to hope if you're Jim Boeheim that it pays dividends.
Warwick with just 6 points on 2 of 7 shooting. He has felt most of the wrath of this tough Pittsburgh defense.
And here's Pittsburgh once again slowing the tempo down, not looking to rush shots. They don't mind running that clock all the way down to the nub.
10 on the shot clock, no sign of any panic. Brown open for the 3, no good. Long rebound is run down by McNamara. McNamara fakes the 3, penetrates, and it's out of bounds. Last touched by McNamara.
Take a look right here. Jim Boeheim arguing that there was a foul on the arm, and that's all ball right there.
Yep.
It goes right off of McNamara's wrist. Officials doing an excellent job today. A lot of the close calls that are split-second decisions, they've been right on the money.
Page just barely scraped the net on the three-point opportunity. Taft to the glass. He is fouled.
But when you offensive rebound like that, it puts such pressure on the back line. You know, the shot goes up, and these guys don't watch the flight of the ball. They just go and try to get position. That's what Troutman did. Little contact there by Taft, but when you got big bodies in there, you got to expect the contact. Forth has got to really spread out, put his behind in the Taft, and clear him off that board. Right now, Forth is standing straight up, allowing Taft to push him underneath.
Taft working on that stroke after he got a little bit of a lesson from my partner Len Elmore yesterday at the end of the shoot-around. And look at the offensive glass. Pittsburgh just dominating. And that one.
Oh, so you bring it up when he misses, right?
You know, he still doesn't get much rotation on the ball, but it's a better looking release after you had your conversation with him. Edelin has to force one up, and it's good.
And Billy Edelin is a mid-range jump shooter. He's going to have to start asserting himself, trying to get into the heart of that Pittsburgh defense, and when they decide to clamp on him, he can create for others.
McNamara was just talking with Edelin, saying, come on, let's go. Kind of slapped hands with him, and they know they got to get something done at this defensive end. Taft in the lane, kicks it out.
Again, right at that spot below the free throw line, a soft spot of this 2-3 zone.
Here is Page. Rising up, shot was deflected. Troutman gets the rebound, and he's grabbed.
He's unbelievable. He is unbelievable. And once again, it's a question of understanding where to go when that shot is taken. Greg Forth with the third personal. Syracuse with a bit of a problem right now.
Well, if you wondered how Pittsburgh would respond from their first loss of the season on the road to Connecticut, don't worry anymore. And it's been an effort at the offensive end, Lenny.
Yeah, absolutely. Chevy is operating like a Mercedes right now. With the spin moves, perpetual motion on the offensive glass. Just a terrific display of effort on the offensive board.
Well, I was talking with Tony Salisi, the longtime trainer at Pittsburgh, and asking him about different guys. And he mentioned Siobhan Troutman. He said in the fall, there's Tony. He and I were riding the bike in the workout room earlier today. Len, didn't see you down there, but Tony says that Siobhan Troutman in their long distance run and any of those types of conditioning drills, he said this guy can run forever. He's relentless at everything he does. Not the biggest guys we see.
Well, one of the things that he does, he sacrifices involvement in the offense. He recognizes when his teammates shoot, he goes to the spot. And he's in motion constantly, so it's difficult to block him out. And for anybody who wants to be a good offensive rebounder, that's the key. Movement without the ball, and then finally getting to the spot on the weak side.
Taft, the freshman, the only player in the ball game in double figures now, has 13. His season and obviously career high is 17, which he's done 3 times this year. Foul against the Panthers here.
They take a look here again. Shot goes, ball goes inside to Taft. A nice job in that weak part of that zone. That soft spot, as I mentioned, right below the free throw line. Taft has gotten it a few times, looked to pass. That time he recognized his shot.
Troutman, Lenny, was called for the foul, his third, so he goes to the bench. And Mark McCarroll comes back in the ball game.
Well, this is a tremendous opportunity for Syracuse to try to make something out of the fact that Troutman is on the bench. They can shore up their defense, start blocking people off the glass and limiting Pittsburgh to just one shot in their offense.
Warwick attacking the basket. Reverse up and in.
We're talking about Warwick getting one-on-one opportunities. Very few of them in the first half. Here in the second half, he's starting to recognize, particularly with Mark McCarroll on him, who's a pretty good player, but not equipped to handle Hakeem Warwick.
Pittsburgh is only shooting 31% from the floor, Len, so the defense isn't Syracuse's problem. They just have to eliminate the offensive rebounds.
Well, absolutely, but that's how Pittsburgh wins it. You know, they'll win ugly, but they'll win.
Well, what a pass by Taft inside to McCarroll, and he'll go to the line to try for the three-point play. Boy, has this kid made some significant contributions in all areas tonight.
Well, again, a nice job. There's that weak spot right there, and the little bounce pass. It's like a backdoor situation against the zone. Normally the backdoor against man-to-man, but Warwick was caught looking at the ball instead of watching the cutter.
Third foul against Warwick, and McCarroll able to complete the three-point play. Biggest lead of the ball game. Pittsburgh with a huge advantage. Points in the paint plus 12.
It's a one-on-one situation again. Warwick has got to make something out of it, and he does. Once again, isolates McCarroll. McCarroll at 6'11", not really accustomed to playing guys out on the floor, particularly guys with the length and explosiveness of Hakeem Warwick.
McCarroll's foul was his third, as Warwick will shoot a couple. Connecticut, with their loss earlier today against Providence. There are now 5 teams in the Big East, each with one conference loss. Connecticut, these 2 teams, Providence and Miami.
Well, I've been saying it all along. The key when you have that type of competitiveness, you've got to hold serve in the home court.
McNamara, long three, just off the front iron, and look at Taft get up there and snap that rebound.
Back in the day, they used to call it a snatch.
Ooh. Did he ever get it? Here is Page. Brown underneath again for the dunk by McCarroll. McCarroll. Boy, that play has been there 2 or 3 times here in the second half.
Well, Pittsburgh's recognizing something, that the wings are not getting to the guy in the short corner. So when the ball goes to that free throw line area, the wings aren't quick enough.
Warwick spins one way, then the other off the glass and in, and he'll go to the line. And McCarroll has picked up his 4th.
And the last several possessions by both teams are terrific examples of exploiting weaknesses and continuing to go after them. Take a look right here. Again, McCarroll on Warwick. And we said McCarroll, pretty good player, scored the last 2 on the offensive end. Just can't contain Hakeem Warwick. And he's not getting any help either.
Well, Warwick starting to assert himself here in the second half, but misses another free throw. After making his first 3, he's missed his last 2.
See, that's the short corner right there, and that's what Pittsburgh's been able to exploit when they get the ball to that free throw line.
Oh, what a fake by Jerron Brown, and a great finish with the floater.
And, you know, just as soon as Syracuse makes an adjustment to watch the guy in the short corner, they leave a gap, and Jerron Brown attacks it.
Here is Warwick, and Taft grabbed a hold of him. Well, tomorrow at 7 Eastern, number 16 in the country, the Louisville Cardinals will travel to Tennessee. It's one of those conference games on the road, always tough. NCAA basketball on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Garcia leading the way for the Cardinals with an average of just under 15 points, almost 6 assists and 5 rebounds a game. Troutman back in the ballgame. Warwick immediately goes at him. Got the shot away, but it was too strong.
That's a different defender out there in Chevy Troutman that Hakeem Warwick's trying to go after.
And Troutman finishes, and he'll go to the line. He was fouled. And it was Pace that hit him in the head.
And just when you think Pittsburgh's trying to lull you to sleep, here they are showing that they can push the ball up the floor. And Troutman is the guy, we talked about him, the perpetual motion man, running and getting fouled.
Lenny, let's think about this. Syracuse, the defending national champion, coming off a loss at Seton Hall. They averaged nearly 82 points a game. Here they are on their home court, 30,000 fans, and Pittsburgh is absolutely controlling the tempo of this game.
Well, they absolutely are, and it just demonstrates what type of team this Pittsburgh team is. Unselfish, not really a star on this team, certainly a star in the making in Chris Taft. Julius Page is known for his athleticism, but together, you know, these guys are able to impose their will. They've been able to slow the game down when they need to and play in the half court and pick the zone apart. And they've also been able to run the ball when they have an opportunity beating Syracuse down the floor. And not to mention the offensive rebound. Oh, my God.
Brown is called for the hand check foul against Edelin. I don't know if Jamie Dixon was saying that it was darn close to a 10-second backcourt violation.
Talked about Jamie's demeanor. Normally, you know, he's just pretty quiet, doesn't contest any call.
We're at the Carrier Dome here in Syracuse. Better than 30,000 on hand on a snowy and very cold night. Number 9 Pittsburgh, number 16 Syracuse. Big East Conference action. Dave Strader along with Len Elmore.
And so far, the Pittsburgh Panthers are sending a chill to these 30,000 right now. They've been able to do it with the offensive rebounding, as we mentioned, tempo control, and just overall effort.
I think there's an issue with the clock, and the officials are talking to Jamie Dixon. Now, the foul against Brown would be his first, but it is the 7th team foul against Pittsburgh. Now the officials, all 3 of them getting together, and we're not sure what this is all about.
The game clock was running, but the shot clock didn't.
They could hear a little bit of what John Clockerty said. The game clock was running, but the shot clock wasn't. That must be what Jamie Dixon was yelling about, because from his position kneeling at courtside, he was looking straight toward the basket that Pittsburgh is defending, and he probably saw that that shot clock wasn't running.
Now the question is, what type of determination do the officials make? It's a correctable error.
Well, they are looking at a monitor right across from us right now, which they certainly can do to correct a clock situation. Well, it should be a 1-on-1 situation. Yes, and they just now are realizing that. They were about to hand the ball to the Syracuse player, and I think actually the player said something. Well, this certainly could be a factor now. If Syracuse can hit some free throws, I mean, we've still got 12 minutes to go, and they're already in the bonus situation. Edelin misses the front end, and it's the Panthers that control. Edelin just a 54% free throw shooter. Both of these teams rank very low in the conference. Syracuse ranked 11th and Pittsburgh 12th in terms of free throw shooting in the Big East. Yuri Dimitri's number 3 in the ball game for the Panthers.
So in that clock situation, there actually was no error to correct. Jamie Dixon was calling for something because the clock had not started, but the officials hadn't awarded any erroneous points or put anybody on the free throw line inadvertently.
There was Troutman continuing to do what he has done all game long, and that is get the job done with tremendous effort. A 16-point Pittsburgh advantage. Troutman now joining Taft in double figures. Here is Warwick, who has 11 to lead the Orangemen. Spin move. Has to turn the fadeaway, is short.
And see, that's the part of Hakeem Warwick's game that I think he needs to work on. With his explosiveness, he's got to be able to go to the basket off the dribble without spinning, because the spin slows him down and it takes away from that explosiveness. It's one step, head and shoulders off the bounce, get by your man and explode to the 10.
Troutman, double team, and calmly throws it off of Warwick's leg and out of bounds.
Well, Pittsburgh's been able to vault to the 16-point lead by attacking that zone, and they've done it with surgical precision. The back door to the short corner once, and then again, the back door to the short corner again. Pittsburgh's doing a terrific job, and they're getting the job done.
Of a difference would there be with Ben Howland leaving and his assistant Jamie Dixon taking over? Guess what? The formula is much the same, and they might be doing it a little bit better.
Well, Jamie certainly was one of the architects of that defensive system. As you look at the progression, if you will, each year it's gotten better and better. This year they're starting to get even better than that 15-7 of last year. But the fact is, tonight they've surpassed that, and it comes down to, again, the effort, the teamwork on defense, and the willingness for guys to help each other. And of course, it helps when you got a Chris Taft in the middle who's dissuading a lot of layups with his shot blocking capability.
That field goal percentage defense started out in the late 90s there. It was in the low 40%. Now it's difficult for opponents to get to 40%. There's that play again, and this time it's Morris. Torrey Morris, the senior.
Well, the other thing about Pittsburgh, we talked about them attacking this 2-3 zone, and you find ways to get the ball in the right spots, the short corner, below the free throw line. Now they're doing it with such confidence, it seems to be almost automatic.
Now here is Nichols, freshman off the bench again. And there's Morris coming over to help out with a shot block. It comes back out to McNamara. Into the paint, hands it off to Warwick. Warwick fumbled the ball on the way up. There is Watkins, the freshman with a rebound, and he is fouled.
That's quite the battle in there between Morris at about 270, 280, and Watkins about 240, 250. Again, here's the attack. Draws the defender. Watkins off his feet, and that short corner is where it's open. Watch again. Watkins off his feet. Too late was the help coming across.
Lenny, if you're Syracuse, at some point, do you get out of that zone and go some man-to-man, which Boeheim has done at times this year?
Well, you're going to have to. You can't fall behind too much more and try to stay in that zone. You've got to be able to now start matching up and maybe start to run some trick stuff, some double teams in the corner. Really got to get your guys more active defensively.
Watkins unable to hit that free throw.
But the flip side of that is, if you're not accustomed to playing man-to-man, it doesn't do you any good. Seems right now, though, that Syracuse is in man. They've got to shake something up, shake something loose.
And unable to take advantage of being in the bonus situation at that free throw line. Pittsburgh with the interior passing again. Morris. And he traveled as he was getting set to make his move.
But you can see again the recognition out there, particularly by Jerron Brown in the man-to-man right away, recognizing the weak spots. You know, they attacked that as if they were playing it all afternoon, all evening.
Lenny, it's been 2 years since Pittsburgh lost 2 games in a row. That's how consistent they have been. And coming off the loss against Connecticut, they show no signs of losing 2 in a row here with this one. Sacramento Kings have taken over the top spot of the Western Conference. They'll be tested tomorrow as they battle Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks. 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, Sunday on ABC, home of the NBA Finals.
And you talk about, again, the chemistry on this Pittsburgh team. You take a look at the foul there. As soon as Torrey Morris came off the floor, every single guy stood up and gave him a high five. It's a nice pass inside, and once again, seems as though Pittsburgh had established position. Hakeem Warwick just draws a lot of attention. Boy.
Free throw shooting woes continue, and a foul is going to go against, I think, Siobhan Troutman. Good effort by Watkins may have forced Troutman to pick up his 4th personal foul.
Effort by Watkins, so why is Nichols on the line?
Yeah. Now there's Troutman with his 4th personal foul, has a double-double with 10 points and 10 rebounds, and Nichols misses the free throw. Syracuse just 7 of 16 from the free throw line.
Boy, it still seemed to me as though Watkins was a guy who was held down as he tried to make his jump.
Yeah. Here comes the pressure now from Syracuse. Tap, the lob, pass, McCarroll. That's the way to handle the pressure, go right over the top of it.
And who would expect a 6'10 freshman to be able to throw a pinpoint alley-oop? Taft just showing us everything he's got.
He's had 2 or 3 of the best assists tonight. Edelin trying to back his man down. Hands the ball off. Warwick in trouble. Edelin will try the 3. That's not his game, and you saw why right there. Warwick attacks the basket with a dunk. $15 now for Warwick. 15-point Pittsburgh lead. 8.5 remaining here in the second half.
Now Pittsburgh's got to be careful now. Syracuse trying to make a run. They got this crowd into it. You don't want to take the air out of the ball and kill your aggressiveness to the basket. You want to take some time, but you always want to look for the open man. You want to look for some opportunities.
And the freshman, Demetrius Nichols, is going to pick up the foul. His first.
And there's the pressure, and Pittsburgh does a nice job getting it to Taft, and Taft makes the play. You know, normally a big guy would just hold on to the ball and wait until his guards came and gotten it, but...
Correction, that was the second foul on Nichols.
You know, you never know when the guy's talented as Chris Taft. He just surprises you every time he touches it.
Now Page, 15 on the shot clock. Brown, Warwick challenges him. Inside pass for Taft, knocked away. Edelin couldn't get it away from Krauser, and Taft with a slam.
Boy, nice job. Krauser just kind of hid in the bushes a little bit. Edelin never really saw him.
Boy, just when you think you've gotten the best of Pittsburgh, guess what? They turn it right back around. Pittsburgh never, ever gives up on the play. And look at this. Jerron Brown with a bullet pass, and Taft continues to make his statement. Number 9 Pittsburgh on the road in conference against the defending national champions, the number 16 Syracuse, 54-37. We wondered about the health of Jerry McNamara. Left groin not 100%. Look at his career so far against Pittsburgh. This is the 3rd time he's faced the Panthers. He has hit just 5 out of 20. And on the other side, Chris Taft, the freshman, how would he respond in this kind of an atmosphere as a freshman?
He just sees the spotlight and takes off.
McCroskey and Nichols and Watkins, 3 freshmen on the floor for Boeheim, along with Warwick and McNamara, who pulls up, man. The shot just off.
Well, that was a difficult one because Taft did a nice job defensively and stepping out.
Watkins is fouled by Taft. And a jam-packed Carrier Dome here in Syracuse, New York, as Taft picks up his 4th personal foul. A game not only with Big East conference implications, but national implications as well. Number 9 on the road against number 16 Syracuse. Dave Strader along with Len Elmore and the rest of our crew here. 2004 Australian Open coming up next year on ESPN2. A little change in temperature going from Syracuse, New York down to Australia.
It's summertime down under.
Again, the Orange just can't buy a free throw, and it's a timeout, very alertly called by Carl Krauser, who's at the bottom of that scrum. As we celebrate our 25 seasons of college basketball, it's time to flash back into the ESPN archives.
Artest for the tie. He hit it! Syracuse has timeouts. Boeheim in the pass likes to keep it on the floor. It's in the hands of Bergen. The senior lost his footing to Blackwell for the win. Gone! Ryan Blackwell sends Syracuse to the championship game.
And that was ESPN's Fran Fraschilla, who was on the sidelines there for St. John's in that Big East tournament buzzer beater.
Unfortunately for Fran, on the wrong side.
Yeah, that's right.
Of the sideline. That's a terrific Big East tournament game. You know, Jamie Dixon's got to do a little bit of personnel management right now with Taft getting 4 fouls. You know, he's so important right there. Troutman's got 4 fouls as well, so the rotation along the front line. That's why you see McCarroll and Morrison. They've just got to be able to hold their own right now, not do anything outside of their capabilities. Allow Krauser and Brown to get it done, and Page.
Here's McCroskey into the paint, had it knocked away, but he is fouled. And I believe McCroskey will go to the free throw line, where so far Syracuse has hit just 8 out of 19.
McCroskey had to be restrained a little bit. Here's the drive. And you know it's a hard foul. Morris is a big fella. He's not going to allow any easy layups. You know, you make a case that he didn't play the ball that time, but, you know, you get that big, strong arm up there. McCroskey not accustomed to that kind of contact. Not yet, but welcome to the Big East, young fella.
Morris, I just put my arm there, and the kid ran into it.
I was just trying to protect myself.
And McCroskey knocks down the free throw.
But the message was sent. Again, no easy layups. You know, Morris has got 2 fouls. He's got 3 more to waste.
Hitting just 1 of 2. Warwick got a hand on the ball, but Pittsburgh comes up with it. Jerron Brown spinning in transition. Triple team. Kicks it out to Page.
And that's a good call by Page to get it back outside. Let's start it over. Let's run this clock. We've got our 2 best big men on the bench right now. Let's try to buy a little bit of time. This game's not over yet.
Brown kicks it back out. Down to 10 on the shot clock. Ball in Krauser's hands.
Here's where a point guard has to take it off the dribble and create for somebody.
And he does just that. McCarroll open for the 3, and he knocks it down. Mark McCarroll.
That's quintessential point guard play. Shot clock runs down. It's up to you to create.
McCroskey with a jump stop, and then had the ball slapped out of his hands. And it's going to be Syracuse ball after the timeout. Boy, Krauser found the open man. And Javon Troutman on the bench loves it. Oh yeah, it looks a whole lot different there in Australia than it does outside the Carrier Dome. Pittsburgh 57, Syracuse 38. And Agassi, of course, a defending champion. And we have a defending champion here. Syracuse Orangemen, who won it all. But how have the Final Four from last year fared so far, Len?
Well, I mean, obviously this is a different year, different personnel on the floor. And all of them are in the hunt, so to speak, but they've got some weaknesses that they've got to shore up. You know, you look at the Texas in a tough Big 12. Marquette's had some difficulties of late, particularly with Diener not being 100% and the injury to him. And that's what makes this game beautiful. It's a revolving door every year.
Torrey Morris is called for the foul, and so Warwick will go to the line.
You talk about shocks again. Kansas losing to Richmond and Allen Fieldhouse. You know, Richmond very much unheralded and obviously very much underrated. Jerry Wainwright's done a terrific job. They've been giant killers throughout their history. Jerry's kept up the battle, so to speak.
And it was 4 free throw shooting down the stretch that did in Kansas as well. McCroskey missed the 3-point opportunity.
Well, you talk about poor free throw shooting, 10 for 23 for Syracuse.
It's just
self-inflicted wounds right now.
More college basketball action coming your way on ESPN tomorrow at 7 Eastern. Number 6 team in the country, Rick Pitino's Louisville Cardinals, going on the road. Take down the Tennessee Volunteers, who gave Kentucky all they could handle recently. Tennessee 9-1 at home. And McNamara on the bench. Obviously not 100%. I mean, looked better maybe than we thought he might, given the description of the groin injury, and he's tried to tough it out.
Well, I think that's part of it, but the other part of it is history bears out the fact that Pittsburgh is just so tough on him around the perimeter. He hasn't had any luck against the Pittsburgh Panthers, and I'm sure that groin injury contributes to the difficulty he's had tonight.
Syracuse, Len, will have a full week off to get ready for their next game against Virginia Tech. I don't know if that's good or bad after this kind of a performance.
Well, first day it's not going to be so good in practice. I can tell you that right now. It will not be enjoyable. But just as coaches may want to tear you down and point out the problems that you've had and the mistakes that you make on the floor, then you start to build them back up again. You got to tear players down a little bit before you start building them up. And I think Jim Boeheim, obviously he is the dean of coaches in the Big East, and 666 wins. He knows what he's supposed to do with these guys.
Youngster Watkins was called for the foul, his second.
But I would not want to be in that locker room on the first day of practice after this game.
Unless Syracuse can somehow pull off a miraculous comeback here. Krauser fending off McCroskey with his off arm. McCarroll, who's hit 1 3, made it 2 here in the second half.
And he is so wide open and had so much time. And sometimes that's difficult for shooters when you have too much time, but McCarroll is making the most of it.
Mark McCarroll, rather, yes. Knocking it down. Here's McCroskey now for the Orange, and he answers with a 3. And McCroskey and Krauser giving each other a shove.
Well, right now, Jim Boeheim has a chance to look at somewhat of his future with the 3 freshmen out there. This is an opportunity for him to give them some quality minutes against a quality team. And the pressure works.
Yes. There's a turnover. 17 points is the margin. 12th turnover for Pittsburgh. Don't forget action from the 2004 Australian Open is coming up next. Here's McCroskey. Lob pass into Warwick. Throws it up wildly off the glass and out of bounds. Last touch by the Orange. 3:47 remaining here at the Carrier Dome. Jamie Dixon's glove in command. Disappointed tonight, number 16 Syracuse trailing big time to number 9 Pittsburgh. Dave Strader along with Len Elmore. Glad you're with us here on ESPN2, and you will see Parador and Srishapan go against the 4th-seeded defending champion Andre Agassi. All part of our 2004 Australian Open coverage coming up next. And we mentioned McNamara with the off performance, just 6 points against Seton Hall in the loss earlier this week, and you see he's going to be held under 10 points again tonight. Sees an average of 17.
Well, 3 of 11 shooting from the field, including 2 of 7 from 3. And again, we can attribute some of that to the injury because he had a difficult time against Seton Hall, but a lot of that has to do with the Pittsburgh defense, people stepping out, making it difficult for him to shoot over.
Watkins following his miss, kept it alive. Now it's taken by Jerron Brown, and wisely pulls it back out.
And again, that shows you somebody who's determined. The senior, he didn't have to hustle after that ball. This game is won. They got a 21-point lead, and yet he's still beating Syracuse to the ball.
1997, Len, the last time a Syracuse team shot under 30% in a ball game. Their field goal percentage just over 26% tonight. Watkins with a block.
Well, a lot of that, again, you attribute to the Pittsburgh defense. They've taken away the easy ones, although here down the stretch, you'll see a few of them. But they really clogged that defense up in the paint, made it very difficult for Hakeem Warwick, who's a very high percentage shooter, right around 52%. And they really much took him out of the ball game.
Here is Page with it. 55 seconds remaining in the ball game.
And I said he took him out of the ball game, 6 for 15, but at critical times, he just wasn't able to make anything. And he still has a double-double.
Back shot by Julius Page. Page now with 8 points. Look at the points in the paint. Pittsburgh almost as many points in the paint as Syracuse has total points on the night.
And most of that is out of the Pittsburgh half court. And we talked about it again, the interior passing, the unselfishness, looking inside, the offensive rebounds, and the putbacks. That's Pittsburgh basketball. And as we mentioned before, 75-12 in the last 3 years, the best among the Division I schools. People better wake up and recognize that this is a program you got to reckon with. These guys are good.
And they've got some outstanding ball players already committed to join them next year and the year after. And Pittsburgh on the road wins it by a final of 66-45. The 2004 Australian Open is coming up next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. For Len Elmore and the rest of our crew here in Syracuse, I'm Dave Strader. Thanks for joining us. The freshman Taft came up big in his first appearance here at the Carrier Dome. Now stay with us here on ESPN2, the 2004 Australian Open coming up at 3 instead of having to force one. So I agree with you. I think you get something toward the basket.
And Brown's a guy against Rutgers, hit a few. They've got some people on the perimeter with Krauser and Page. If that happens, but I think a touch inside or at least a dribble drive, usually Krauser with the bounce.
Well, plus, if you take it hard, UConn doesn't want to foul. They may wind up backing off, and you wind up getting a quick basket.
I like the pressure here by UConn. You don't want to foul, don't want to turn and speed them up. Just contain.
Krauser with Gordon guarding tightly. High screen by Taft. Krauser goes quickly to the bucket. Okafor rejected it and swatted it right to Talik Brown.
Unbelievable defense. They give the foul. The show out top. This guy doesn't look at the show, Jay, and now he causes a walk here. I think he does before he blocks the shot.
He got all the way from near the top of the key, sort of the three-point area, all the way back underneath the basket. Look at him move his feet, sends it back. That is the National Defensive Player of the Year, without question.
And Jay, that's more than just footwork and athleticism. That's a desire to control that lane. Incredible performance on that one particular play.
A sense of urgency.
Huge free throw for Brown. A miss. Okafor kept it alive. Out of bounds. Last touch by UConn. A chance for Pittsburgh.
They take the time.
They'll use the last timeout. They've been here before. They trailed Miami down at Miami a couple of weekends ago with under 5 seconds to go, down by 2, and Carl Krauser went the length of the floor and laid it in to force overtime, and Pittsburgh wound up winning that game in double overtime. Back for the final 5.5 in a second. But first, here's Dave Revson.
All right, Sean, looking like a great finish for you guys in Hartford. Coming up next, D'Angelo Alexander and the Sooners trying to halt a 3-game skid. Texas Tech's won 10 straight. That's after your finish, guys.
Pittsburgh down by 3. What do you look for, guys?
Well, we talked about the dribble drive. I think it's the best way to get the 3. Run your baseline bumps. Let this guy, Krauser, get into the lane and find somebody. I think that's the...
Do you have time to do all that, going the length of the court in 5.5?
Absolutely. He did it. You mentioned the 3. I think guys teach 3 seconds you can go wire to wire. But the great job Gordon did the last time is part of the problem, containing that dribble drive. Might have to make some cuts and go to half court and not use the dribble.
Well, Connecticut is going to try to make Pittsburgh come back for the ball so they can't get it going toward their own basket. That will take extra time off the clock.
Now they've got Krauser at half court, so you look for Troutman or Page to get him.
Look for, yeah, he will probably go that way and get him.
They're matched up for the most part man-to-man with Okafor playing the safety back near his own foul line. Jerron Brown to throw it in with Denham Brown right on him. Troutman, Krauser, Page, and Graves also out there.
Cross screen. Oh, what a gamble. Not a good one.
Krauser has a man open. It's Graves, the freshman, off the rim at the buzzer, and Pittsburgh is undefeated no longer. But a valiant effort, and Jamie Dixon over to console the freshman Graves, who had a great look at it at the buzzer, and it came up just short.
Just not a good gamble in the backcourt at all, Jay. Very fortunate to dodge this one.
He's coming around, and Ben Gordon with that gamble opened it up, and you're not going to get a better look than that.
Jim Calhoun, almost the 6th man on the court.
He still has some moves, but his center, Emeka Okafor, just dominated. Come down the stretch, and look at great job by both clubs. Outstanding game.
Okafor finished with 11.7 rebounds and 5 blocks. Denham Brown 20 points. Ben Gordon 16. Connecticut goes to 15-2, 3-0 in the Big East. Pittsburgh 18-1, 4-1 in Big East play. Once again, the final score: Connecticut 68, Pittsburgh 65. For Bill Raftery and Jay Billis, I'm Sean McDonough saying good night from Hartford. Oklahoma and Texas Tech next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. UConn a winner tonight. Let's join Dave Revson in the studio.